carved our names in the paint of the water tower. Spent every single minute of every single hour, and dreaming of the day we'd finally leave this place, searching for a life that had a little more space. You were the anchor and I was the sail, two sides of a coin on a dusty trail. The map that we drew has been folded and torn, leaving us weathered and a little bit worn. I miss the person you were before the world got its way, and I'm sorry for the man I've become today. Two souls drifting out on an endless gray sea. Your letter stopped coming about 3 years ago. I heard you moved north where the heavy winds blow. I saw a picture of you with a grin that looked forced, like a part of your spirit had been quietly divorced. I'm still in the valley, chasing shadows of ghosts, while you're making speeches and giving the toast. Old age is a mountain that we climb all alone, finding that the seeds we planted have finally grown into a forest that blocks out the path back home. Wherever we wander and wherever we roam, friendship is a fragile thing to hold in your hand. The sun's going down on the memory of us, covered in layers of silver and rust. I'll see you in the dreams of the past, where things were built to truly last. Goodbye to the way it was.
Through the floorboards like a choir of forgotten sins. I'm sitting where the sidewalk ends and the wilderness begins. The label on the bottle's the only map I'm following tonight. I'm hiding in the darkness because I can't stand the light. My reflection in the window is a man I don't recognize. The rhythmic thumping of my heart is like a muffled drum. I'm waiting for the reckoning that I know is bound to come. The shadows are stretching their fingers across the dusty floor. I can hear the sound of someone knocking at the cellar door. It's a long walk home when you've burned every single bridge. I'm standing on the edge of a jagged and a broken ridge. The sky is a bruise and the earth is a cold hard bed. I'm haunted by the things that I should have never said. You see a man who's lonely and looking for a bit of peace, but I'm the one who provided the trigger sweet release. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't a twist of cruel fate. I planned the whole thing out behind the garden gate. I'm the wolf in the sheep's clothing that the shepherd never found. The silence in this room is the loudest thing I've ever heard. I'm choking on the weight of every single wicked word. The highway is a snake that's waiting for me to arrive. I'm the only person left who is barely even alive. Forgive me for the path that I chose to walk alone. I've turned my heart of flesh into a heavy heart of stone. I'm reaching for the bottom, but the floor is falling away. I'm a dying ember at the end of a very long day. The clock is striking midnight and the tavern starts to fade. I'm paying for the choices that I've already made. The key is in the ignition, but the engine won't turn. I'm just waiting for the world to finally start to burn.
Carved our names in the paint of the water tower. Spent every single minute of every single hour dreaming of the day we finally leave this place, searching for a life that had a little more space. You were the anchor and I was a sail, two sides of a coin on a dusty trail. The map that we drew has been folded and torn, leaving us weathered and a little bit worn. I miss the person you were before the world got its way, and I'm sorry for the man I've become today. Two souls drifting out on an endless gray sea. Your letter stopped coming about 3 years ago. I heard you move north where the heavy winds blow. saw a picture of you with a grin that looked forced, like a part of your spirit had been quietly divorced. I'm still in the valley, chasing shadows of ghosts, while you're making speeches and giving the toast. Old age is a mountain that we climb all alone, finding that the seeds we planted finally grown into a forest that blocks out the path back home. Wherever we wander and wherever we roam, friendship is a fragile thing to hold in your hand. The sun's going down on the memory of us, covered in layers of silver and rust. I'll see you in the dreams of the past, where things were built to truly last. Goodbye to the way it was.
Mailbox flag is rusted shut, like the throat of a man with too much to say. I've been watching the wheat fields bend under a wind that doesn't reach me. Your letters stop coming, but the silence tells me more than the ink ever could. It's the sound of a woman finding her voice in a city of millions. We didn't have a final showdown or a dramatic exit in the middle of the night. We just let the thread between us get so thin that it finally floated away. The breath I'm holding is starting to feel like a mountain in my chest, and the horizon is a jagged line that looks like a hard monitor flat line. And distance is a slow thief, stealing the warmth from our hands while we sleep. It's the accumulation of every maybe later and not right now. I hope the skyscrapers give you the height that this valley never offered, because I was a ceiling when I should have been a wide open sky. Now the miles are a debt I'm paying back with every lonely sunset. I looked at the old photo and saw the exact moments your smile started to fade. It was the day I told you that my roots were too deep for your dreams. I was so proud of my heritage that I forgot to build a future for you, choosing the tradition of my father over the transition of my heart. I was the architect of this isolation, and I built the walls myself, thinking I was keeping us safe when I was just keeping you trapped. I'm breaking down the fences I spent my whole life trying to maintain, admitting that the view is better when you're not afraid of the horizon. I've grown more in these 3 months of silence than in 30 years of noise, and I'm finally becoming a man who is worthy of the memory of you. A soft smile for the person you're becoming without me. I'll keep the farm running, but I'll leave the gate wide open from now on. It's a hopeful kind of lonesome to know that you're finally breathing deep. May your journey be longer than the shadows I cast on your soul. Weight of the badge, there's a bullet hole in the mirror, right where my reflection used to be. The dust on the bar top is the only thing that stays for free. I've been driving this highway since the stars went cold and gray, looking for a piece of ground where I don't have to pray. The wind through the rafters sounds like a choir of the damned. The blast is sweating and the ice is turning into tears. I'm counting the minutes, but I'm losing track of the years. The silence is a hammer hitting a nail into my soul. I'm losing my grip on the only thing I can control. Carry the burden of the bones buried in the desert sand. A lonely man's heart is a barren and a broken land. The whiskey don't bite as hard as the memory of her face. I'm searching for a mercy that I know I can't ever replace. I wear this tin star, but it's tarnished and covered in shame, because I didn't find the killer, I just gave them a different name. I let an innocent man swing while I pocketed the judge's bribe. Now I'm the only witness left to the truth I tried to hide. A badge in my pocket is burning a hole through my skin. The road ahead is a black ribbon winding through the night. Every headlight passing by is a searchlight for my life. I built this cage out of secrets and locked myself inside. There's no place in this valley where a guilty man can hide. I trade my tomorrow for a single hour of being clean, but the devil is a creditor who's always being mean. I'm confessing to the bottle because the bottle doesn't judge. I'm drowning in the middle of a lifelong bitter grudge. The lights are flickering and the tavern is closing its eyes. I can hear the hounds barking under the indigo skies. Maybe the morning will find me at the bottom of the well. I'm leaving my tab open on the doorstep of hell. Neon sign outside is bleeding in red onto the jagged gravel. I watch the ceiling fan spin like a slow motion gallows. Every sip of this cheap bourbon tastes like a promise I broke. My hands are shaking under the weight of words I never spoke. The clock on the wall stopped ticking back in 79. I'm just a ghost sitting here waiting for the end of the line. The jukebox is humming a tune that sounds like a warning. The air gets heavy with the scent of a storm coming in. Oh, the shadows are growing long and they're calling out my name. A symphony of regret played on a rusted steel string. There ain't enough water in the well to wash these stains away. The moonlight is a witness to the debt I could never repay. You think I'm just a drifter running from a broken heart, but I was the one who set the match to the family farm. I watched the smoke climb high while I drove toward the state line, leaving my brother to answer for a crime that was purely mine. The gold in my pocket feels heavier than the lead in my chest. The darkness is a blanket that smothers the flickering light. I hear the echoes of sirens screaming through the hollow pine. Justice is a slow-moving train that finally caught the track. There's a hole in my spirit where the mercy used to stack. I'm tired of the running and the lying and the constant fear. I've lived 1,000 lives, but I've never truly been here. God, if you're listening, just turn your head for a second. I'm ready to face the hell that I've spent years beckoning. The bartender's wiping the counter with a cloth made of ghosts. I reach for my keys, but I know I've reached the end of the road. One more glass before the sun forgets to rise again. The door is creaking open now, and the wind begins to howl.
headlights cutting through the fog like a knife through thick regrets on a Sunday night. I'm passing the old sawmill where the saws had been silent for a generation now. The air is heavy with the scent of damp sawdust and the ghost of working men. Every pothole in this road is a memory of a journey I wasn't ready to take. My hand is shaking on the gear shift as I approach the house with the blue shutters. The emotional weight of 10 years is pressing down on the roof of this cab. I can feel the gravity of the past pulling me toward the porch light in the distance. Fireflies are dancing in the meadow behind the fence we built with our own hands. A tattered screen door is swinging in the breeze like a heartbeat in an empty house. The silver lining of the clouds is the only map I have left to find my way back. 1,000 unspoken words are hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I found a letter in the glove box that I wrote to her from a motel in East Texas. It's stained with coffee and the truth that I was too scared to mail it back then. I realized I wasn't running to something, I was just terrified of being known. The stakes are higher now that I see the life she built without me in the picture. I'm tearing down the walls of my own stubborn heart right here on this gravel drive. I was the villain in the story, but I'm ready to be the man who learns to stay. I'm breathing out the poison of the road and breathing in the grace of the valley. A small smile catches me in the rearview mirror as the first bird starts to sing. I'm not looking back anymore because the view in front of me is finally enough. I'm stepping out of the truck and leaving the keys in the dirt for the wind to find.
to an early grave. My father died with a wrench in his hand and a dead in his chest. I'm walking through the steam like a man possessed by a bitter ghost. Every bolt I tighten feels like a nail in the coffin of my dreams. The same old stories are told over the same lukewarm lunch. The tank is full and the paper map is burned to ashes. My heart is a piston hitting 6,000 revolutions per minute. The gate is open and I'm not looking for anyone's permission. I'm screaming at the sky with the windows rolled down to the floor. The state line is a finish line for a race I didn't know I was in. Trading the industrial grade for the gold of a western sunset. I'm a hurricane of dust, leaving the struggle in the rear view. I left the engine idling while I walked back to the front office. Dropped my tool belt on the floor and didn't say a single word. The silence of the parking lot was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Then I slammed the door and let the gravel fly toward the fence. I'm leaving the shadow of the smokestack for the heat of the road. Every bridge I cross is a bridge I'm burning behind my back. The radio's playing a song that sounds like the first day of spring. I've got the wind for a compass and the stars for a master plan. Nothing can stop the momentum of a man who's finally broken free. I used to think the world ended at the edge of the county limit, but the asphalt is singing a different tune. About the miles ahead, I'm shedding the skin of the labor and becoming the traveler, triumphant and tired, but more alive than I've ever been. Of the hardest chapter I ever wrote, moving toward the morning with the pedal pressed to the iron. Gone into the light, never looking back.
The cracked yellow line is bleeding into the oil stains on this lonesome stretch of blacktop. My headlights catch a skeleton of the old Sinclair station, where we used to steal kisses. The air smells like damp pine and the copper tank of an approaching autumn storm. Every shuttered window on Main Street feels like a cold eye watching me crawl back home. I passed the water tower with all names, faded under 20 years of rust and rain. My knuckles are white as bone against the warm leather of this steering wheel. The silence in the cab is screaming louder than the diesel engine ever could. Every mile marker is a tally of the days I spent running from the truth. Shadows of the oak trees dance across the porch where a rocking chair sat still. The moonlight spills like silver whiskey over the fields we used to call our kingdom. A broken heart don't make a sound when it hits the floor of a ghost town. There's a flickering lamp in the window of the house where I left my soul behind. Didn't just walk away from the girl. I buried my father's pride in a shallow grave. Left the mortgage on the kitchen table and took the only key that still worked. Now I'm staring at the darkened nursery window of a life I wasn't brave enough to lead. The guilt tastes like wood smoke and the bitter dregs of a bottle of cheap rye. I was a coward dressed in denim and a reckless dream of something better than the soil. God, I wish I'd crashed this truck before I ever crossed that county line 10 years ago. I'm finally letting go of the steering wheel and letting the memory wash me clean. Sunrise is a pale bruise on the horizon as I put the truck back into gear. I don't need a map to know that some roads only lead to a quiet final goodbye. I'm leaving the ghost to the night and taking the peace I finally found in the dark. Sign is just a lie sold to the weary. 4 a.m. is a cold bucket of water to the face every single day. My boots are worn thin from walking the same 100 yards of tile. The grease on the grill is the only thing that shines in this zip code. Listening to the same gossip about people who never left the porch, waiting for a miracle in a town where the rain never falls. The silver key is turning and the battery is holding its breath. One spark is all it takes to change the scenery for good. The horizon is calling my name in a voice I can't ignore. I'm watched the foreman's truck pull in as I pulled out for the last time. He didn't see the smile on my face or the middle finger in the air. I got $300 and a tank of premium unleaded, heading for the places where the air doesn't taste like old iron. The town square is shrinking until it's just a speck in the glass. There's a freedom in the rumble that a paycheck could never buy. I'm leaving the smoke for the clean air of the high desert plains. The yellow lines are the only guide I'll ever need to follow again, breaking the rhythm of the routine and finding my own beat. I spent a lifetime building things for people who didn't care. Now I'm building a memory out of every mile I put behind me. It's a long way to nowhere, and that's exactly where I want to be. Reflection in the chrome shows a man who's finally found his peace. No more yes sir or no sir, just the rhythm of the rolling tires. I'm writing a new story on the blank pages of the western sky. The heavy heart I carried is getting lighter with every passing exit, finding my religion in the roar of the V8 under the hood. Driving till the map runs out of ink and the road meets the sea. The night is young and the engine is my only true companion. Just keep rolling, don't ever stop. The whiskey burns the trail that lie ever told her. Sitting on this stool makes me feel a century older. The fan is cutting the cigarette smoke into jagged shapes. I'm looking for a window, but there aren't any escapes. The shadows in the corner are whispering about the past. The floor is sticky with the spilled dreams of better men. I'm waiting for the courage to pick up my heavy pen, but the ink is turned to vinegar and the paper's gone dry. I can hear the lonesome whistle of a train passing by. It's a long way down when you fall on the highest peak. The words of a sinner are the only ones I've learned to speak. My compass is broken and the North Star has gone away. I'm just a pile of ashes waiting for a wind today.
guess I'm a hero for surviving that winter storm. But I was the reason the fire didn't keep the cabin warm. I took the only blanket and left the others to the frost. I'm the king of a kingdom where every single soul was lost. I carry their shivering voices in the marrow of my bones.
The velvet night is closing in like a velvet line coffin. I'm hearing the sounds of footsteps I don't hear very often. There's a tally on the wall for the sins I haven't cleared. I'm becoming the very monster that I always feared.
Take my hand if you wanna see how deep the canyon goes. I've got secrets buried deeper than the winter mountain snows.
I'm a hollowed out tree standing in a field of fire. I'm a broken down string on a forgotten country line. The bartender is turning the sign around to close. My true identity is about to be completely exposed. The moon is a cold eye staring through the window pane. I guess I'll just sit here and wait for the rain. Factory floor is a conveyor belt to an early grave. My father died with a wrench in his hand and a dead in his chest. I'm walking through the steam like a man possessed by a bearded ghost. Every bolt I tighten feel like a nail in the coffin of my dreams. The same old stories are told over the same lukewarm lunch. The tank is full and the paper map is burned to ashes. My heart is a piston hitting 6,000 revolutions per minute. The gate is open and I'm not looking for anyone's permission. I'm screaming at the sky with the windows rolled down to the floor. The state line is a finish line for a race I didn't know I was in. Trading the industrial grave for the gold of a western sunset. I'm a hurricane of dust, leaving the struggle in the rear view. I left the engine idling while I walked back to the front office. Dropped my tool belt on the floor and didn't say a single word. The silence of the parking lot was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Then I slammed the door and let the gravel fly toward the fence. I'm leaving the shadow of the smokestack for the heat of the road. Every bridge I cross is a bridge I'm burning behind my back.
but the asphalt is singing a different tune about the miles ahead. I'm shedding the skin of the laborer and becoming the traveler, triumphant and tired, but more alive than I've ever been.
Blinking yellow light at the crossroads looks like a dying heartbeat in the fog. I'm passing the diner where the neon sign is missing the R and the E tonight. My tires are humming a funeral march on the bridge or the muddy creek. I can see the ripple of the water catching the pale light of a lonesome moon. The dashboard lights are a dim green glow, reflecting the fear in my tired eyes. I'm holding my breath as I pass the lane that leads to her daddy's farmhouse. Every turn of the engine feels like a clock ticking down an inevitable end. Wildfire smoke is drifting down from the hills where we used to hunt for treasure. The scent of her lavender soap still haunts the upholstery of this old bench seat. The rusty chains are clanking on the swing set in the park where we carved our vows. 1,000 stories are written in the dirt of these back roads I tried to forget. Spent a decade chasing a shadow while the real sun was sitting right behind me. I let the bottle speak for me when I should have used my own damn voice to stay. Now the porch light is off at her place and there's a strange car parked in the drive. That's a price you pay for leaving a heart out in the cold for too many winters. I'm shouting at the wind 'cause the wind is the only thing that will listen to me now. I was wrong to think that distance could ever cure the sickness of a restless spirit. I'm dropping my guard and letting the truth cut through the armor I built around my heart. Clearer than it's been in a dozen years. I'll take the long way out of town and leave the ghosts to their peaceful slumber. It's a quiet kind of mercy to know that life goes on, even when you aren't there.
spitting watermelon seeds off the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county, holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. The distance isn't measured in the miles on the road, it's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, with nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. A beautiful tragedy of becoming someone new. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met. My life is a gamble with a mounting debt. You speak of the harvest and the price of the grain. I talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines that you cross a weary face. We're just two ships passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Half-empty bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay that we're different now, even if I don't remember how. To bridge the gap between